one of your best players, it makes it even more difficult.
That is very tough. It's a very fine line.
Elliott's kickoff to Gray. Mel Gray. And is he dangerous? Wrestled to the ground. Finally, a flag already on the play on the opening kickoff. Thomas Everett down to make the stop. This could be a face mask violation against him.
And I think Jimmy Johnson's big worry, besides Michael Irvin missing that airplane, was Mel Gray being the most dangerous kick returner in the league.
Rodney Peete will open at quarterback for the Lions. In front of him, pasted together offensive line: Lomas, Brown, Bowens, Miller, Dallafor, and Conover up front. 4 wide receivers: Green, Perryman, Campbell, and Russell. And of course, the lone setback, who doesn't stay set very long, Barry Sanders. The book on Rodney Peete. Herman Moore split wide to the right. Willie Green wide left. 4-man front, 1 linebacker, and a lot of defensive backs for Dallas. Peete fumbled by the Lions. Jeff Campbell and the Cowboys get it back. Russell Maryland made the recovery. Ken Norton made the hit that caused it.
And the Lions were going to come out throwing like they did before. They started with their 4 wide receivers. The Cowboys had their answer to it. There's 6 defensive backs in there. Only 1 linebacker. That was Ken Norton. And he was the guy who made the tackle that knocked it out of there to get the turnover.
At the Detroit 41, Dallas takes over. 1st and 10. A turn that Wayne Font said, yes, we can't afford. 2 tight ends open for the Cowboys. This is Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith got a yard. Jenkins made the stop. Troy Aikman, the Dallas quarterback. You forget how big he is. In front of him, an outstanding offensive line. Tuine, Newton, Stepnoski, Giesig, Williams, and the tight end, Jay Novacek. Emmett Smith, Darrell Johnston, the 2 running backs. Emmett does most of the running. Martin and Harper open. There's Michael Irvin. 4-man front for Detroit. Ball is not in at the moment. Here's Aikman to throw. Through the hands of Harper. Incomplete. Crockett made the hit. This has Jerry Ball in that 3-man front with Owens and Spindler at the ends. The linebackers, a good group when they're healthy. Cofer, Gibson, Spielman, and Jamison. In the secondary, also a good group. Crockett and Jenkins, the corners. Blades and White. Both hurt, but both playing. 3rd and 9. Jimmy Smith and Kelvin Martin wide left. Harper wide right. Aikman to throw it. Almost picked off, intended for Harper. Crockett had a hand on it, but pressure put on. Aikman caused that.
Hey, again, this is awfully close. You see that Aikman didn't get a lot on that one. That was kind of wobbly, but he threw that right to Ray Crockett. Now, when we talked to Troy Aikman yesterday, the thing that he said is when you come in and you play a team like Detroit, he says we have to get ahead of them early. He said that first series will be big for us. They got the turnover, then they didn't take advantage of this first series, and they have to punt here.
Saxon back to punt. To Gray. Trying to get it out of bounds. Maybe he did. At the 1. Saxon's been in a little bit of a slump. That'll make him feel a lot better. Not Wayne Fonts. Nothing first quarter. 13:36 left to play in the first. Haley, Maryland, Casillas, and Tolbert up front, although they'll substitute a lot. Norton, Jones, and Smith, the linebackers. As The secondary, Holt and Brown, the corners, Washington and Thomas Everett, the two deep men. Barry Sanders. It's been a frustrating year for him, particularly. In general, for all of these Detroit Lions. They thought they were progressing on a plane with the Cowboys. And somebody got left at the gate. Pete, wide outside to Herman Moore. A gain of about 5, stopped by Holt.
Yeah, one of the things I think that has helped Detroit a little for this game is they kind of went back and looked at how they beat Dallas twice last year, and they beat them by opening up, by throwing the ball, by a quicker release, by using more 4 wide receivers, less tight ends, by throwing all the time on first down and not, run, and then throw on 3rd and long. And they're bringing that same game plan in. Of course, there's the guy who was a quarterback that really beat Dallas twice last year.
Sanders is the deep back, and he gets the carry. Away from Haley. Got it. The Lions out of the hole, finally stopped by Everett and Washington, the two safety men.
This guy is good in any situation, Barry Sanders. But if you're not ready to play, this guy can kill you. And I think you have to be ready to play, and you have to be ready to tackle, because he's going to make you miss tackle. Now, what the Cowboys are trying to do is what they call a soft tackle. Just get in position and wrap them up. Now, in the looks of that first Sanders run, they were all too soft, the tackles.
1st and 10 at the 20. Sanders got 15. He gets another carry with Lomas Brown in front of him. Still on his feet, finally herded out of bounds by Tony Tolbert. A gain of 14 for Sanders.
Here's the thing now, they don't do this an awful lot, but you'll see the left tackle, what they're doing is take their left tackle and they're going to pull him to the right. Barry Sanders starts this way, boom, he gets right in behind Lomas Brown going up there. This isn't a big play. You see Lomas Brown almost get knocked off. Sanders wait for him. Then he makes a little dodge, a little move. Then he goes right by Lomas Brown. But that's that old counter tray that the Redskins have run so much.
Another first. You forget how fast he is. In addition to being so elusive. Moore by Holt. Down. The ball popped out, but he was down.
And I think that was the reason that Jimmy Johnson was so upset yesterday, because his team has had the most relaxed week of practice they ever had. And when Michael Irvin misses the airplane, he thinks their heads really aren't into this game. And he said last night, I want to tell you one thing, and he said, I told Jerry Jones, our owner, we are right today.
He said to me just a moment ago, I just hope we can get one and get out of here. Sanders. Another Detroit first down, and again the two safety men, Washington and Everett, have to make the tackle. A pickup of 13 yards. Remember, this all started back at the Detroit 1.
And this is a fun guy to watch. This is a draw, just a little delay, pick a hole. And when he got that ball, could he pick a hole? It was wide open in there. And then when he gets to you, at the end, he doesn't finish off runs like try and bowl over. He's going to make a spin, a move. He doesn't give you anything solid to hit. In fact, the Cowboys were saying they have never seen anyone ever get a solid hit on Barry Sanders.
4 plays of over 10 yards in a row. Sanders again. Back inside to the 35 of Dallas. Casillas made the stop. A moral victory for the #1 defense in pro football, Dallas.
Yeah, but they don't look like it here. But when you get someone backed up, you got to put them away down there. And as you say, remember, this drive didn't start with good field position. The Detroit Lions got the ball and brought it off their own 1-yard line.
Second down, about 6 at the 35. Rodney Peete, the quarterback. That's Jimmy Johnson in motion.
Look at him back up. Go.
Peete to throw. Picked off by Everett. Thomas Everett stops things for a moment. Dallas has recovered a fumble and now an interception. They've gotten 2 turnovers.
Well, this is what Rodney Peete sees. Now, one thing here, Pat, is you notice here, both of these teams have the same color helmets. And this is a little tough because, and I'm not making an excuse for Rodney Peete, but sometimes the only thing you see are helmets. And maybe he threw that to the helmet, but it was Everett that was in the jersey.
Perryman was the intended receiver, but Dallas takes over.
The sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. Magnavox, smart choices for smart people. The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart. And by Miller Lite, it's everything you want a beer to be.
Pass complete from Aikman to Michael Irvin, who lost the ball, but they say he was down. Irvin had just, during that timeout, during that break, entered the Cowboy huddle.
This is an interesting thing because it's Michael Irvin. Again, missed the airplane, didn't start. Now he's coming in here in the second series. But watch number 36 in here, the safety. Now, anytime you come in there, he's going to make a play. And the guy who finishes them off is Benny Blades, his old college teammate at Miami.
Their wives have been staying together this week here in Detroit. Irvin's wife came up for a visit. They call this incomplete pass. Remember, he's got to have both feet on the ground. He never did with the ball. Emmett Smith wrapped up in the backfield by Kevin Pritchard.
Yeah, we talked about Detroit on offense. They were going to go back, spread them out, more passing. On defense, they're doing the same thing. You can see here they go back to the 3-man line, and where they just get read control on the line of scrimmage. They've been using a 4-man line, and they playing gaps and shade gaps, and they really didn't know what they were doing. And they just want to come into Dallas, play their old, basic, solid defense.
3rd and long. Kelvin Martin in the slot to the left, to Aikman's left. Aikman gets it out to Emmett Smith. And Emmett skates out of bounds. Facing 3 Detroit defenders led by Ray Crockett. A gain of 6, and they'll have to punt.
I think Emmett Smith is still tired from last week. That was one of the greatest efforts that I have ever seen in a football game that Emmett Smith put on in that second half last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. In fact, if you look at that jersey, you'll notice that's a brand new jersey.
And he said after the game, I wasn't tired.
Yeah, he wasn't tired, baloney. He was so tired they had to pack the jersey away. They made a rag out of it. They clean cars with it now.
Saxon's kick is a honey to Gray at the 9. Down by good coverage for Dallas. Dixon Edwards down, a 53-yard punt.
CBS Sports.
Nothing at the Pontiac Silverdome. 8:11 left to play in the first quarter. Pat Summerall with John Madden. John, the Lions so far look as if they're not a 2-6 team. They look as if things are in pretty good control.
Yeah, they look very, very impressive. In fact, the only negative thing they've had is those 2 turnovers. Right. But Barry Sanders is always ready to play, and if you're not ready to tackle, it can be a long day for your defense.
Johnson back with Sanders. And Sanders faced by Haley and Jones. Let's send you now back to New York for an update.
All right, Pat, in Tampa, big play by the Minnesota defense. Steve DeBerg sacked by Al Noga and coughs it up. Carlos Jenkins picks it up and goes 22 yards for the second Viking touchdown of the day. 14-0 Minnesota in the first, Pat.
People are continually asking who is the surprise team in pro football. I think Minnesota would be at the top of that list somewhere.
Yeah, Denny Green and his staff have done an outstanding job there. And I like that defense. And you know the guy that I like is that guy who just made that. I'm looking at him for the All-Madden team this year, I think.
They are very quick. This is Sanders, also very quick, but caught from behind by the big cat, Leon Lett.
Yeah, I think what happens, I think the Cowboys figured out after that first drive that they'd better do something. Here's Lett right here in the middle. And you see, Haley has really helped him because everyone has to worry about Haley. And then if you worry about Haley, you're going to give Lett some room to work in there. And they really work well together.
For a 300-pounder, the big cat is quick. Number 89, the Lions tight end or H-back. The injured Detroit player on the last play. He's out. Here's Rodney Peete. Back to their 4 wide receiver setup. That's Perryman moving around. Peete by Leon Lett. A loss of 5.
Talk about the number 1 defense in the NFL and the improvement of that defense. This guy, Big Cat Lett, is a big part of it. You know, because he's the guy, you can get that outside rush, and the Cowboys have it with Charles Haley coming from one side, you got Jeffcoat from the other side, but you need that push in the middle to go with it, and Leon Lett has really given him that.
Calvin Martin back deep for Dallas. Jim Arnold, long-time Detroit kicker, gets it out of there. Martin on the run. And Kelvin out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Dallas will take over in great shape. Jimmy Johnson with 6:13 left to play in the first quarter and no score.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Calvin Martin returning that punt, it was a 32-yard punt. He returned it 14 yards. They were worried about Calvin Martin returning punts, and that's why they went to a new punt return where there's 2 other guys back with him. And what they said is he has trouble when he has to run to catch the ball.
Like that.
Yeah, but he ran and caught that one and put the Cowboys in excellent field position here.
Irvin wide left. Martin wide right. Reverse to Martin. Out of bounds, a gain of about 8. Kofer chased him down.
One thing about Kofer is he hasn't really practiced in a couple of weeks. He's had a neck injury, and they've sent him all over the country having x-rays and having different doctors check him to make sure that he's okay, and they really couldn't find anything wrong, and they would go to, you know, kind of the day before the game every week to see if he could play. They weren't even sure yesterday if Michael Kofer would play.
2nd and 2. Novacek in motion. Aikman gives to Smith. Jerry Ball led the Detroit defense, and Smith didn't get the first down. Only half it.
You see Jerry Ball on Mark Stepnoski there, the center? You aren't going to run at Jerry Ball. I'll tell you, here's Ball. Now, Stepnoski, the center, has to block him. If you're going to run inside, you have to get the nose tackle going backward. You're not going to man him. See, Jerry Ball gets both hands up underneath. Boom! He says he pops him up. So he pops Stepnoski up, and then boom, right off, and he made the tackle.
3rd, about a yard. Emmett Smith, first down Dallas.
See, that time Emmett Smith ran it in there, and they got it because they took John Giesick and Stepnoski, and they double-team Ball. That's the way you have to do it. Going to single him and get any movement. You see what you do here is you take the double team. You see, here's Ball right here. Here's Ball right here. Now watch the double team. We'll see that they're going to snap the ball and see the 2 guys on him. Boom, now they get underneath his shoulder pad. See how they get underneath? 1 on each shoulder pad. Then boom, get him going back. Then that gives them the soft spot, and that's where Smith went.
Aikman gets it out to Darrell Johnston. A 2-yard pickup. William White on the stop. He didn't practice all week. In fact, early in the week, he was in a cast, then on crutches. No practice. game time he's played.
Yeah, he's one of the tough guys in this Detroit secondary. In fact, their whole secondary are tough guys. And when I heard that he was in a cast after the game, I said, well, that puts White out. And then he was on crutches, didn't practice all week. I thought there was no way he'd be able to play today.
That's Alfredo Roberts in motion. Aikman to Smith. And it's Smith looking for some room in the defense. Benny Blades made the stop, a 4-yard gain for Smith.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about this Detroit defense is both those safeties, both White and Benny Blades, when you run the ball, are like extra linebackers. And when you go in there and run that ball, boom, they both hit that thing.
Here's Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, and watch the safeties come in at the end of the play. See, the line is the first line, then the second, and there's White right there, number 35.
3rd and 4. One thing you'll notice different about Jay Novacek today is the fact that he is wearing gloves. He's in motion.
He got tired of us talking about that finger last week, I think, that broken finger.
Aikman just threw it away. Nobody could clear. He was looking at Novacek.
Yeah, Jay Novacek had the broken finger and just had the bandage on it last week, and he had trouble. He dropped like 3 passes. And so, a guy like that who's a hands guy and starts dropping passes, they kind of try everything and go to anything. They don't want to talk a lot about it. But as you said, it's obvious that he changed it from the bandage to the gloves this week.
Elliott back with Berline holding 30 yards away. Plenty of room and accurate. And Dallas dots the scoreboard first. 3-0 Cowboys, 2:45 left in the first quarter. A flag on the play. Holding against Detroit.
Now that'll also be an automatic first down. Now this is a decision for Jimmy Johnson. Well, you just saw it. He pointed to it. He already made the decision. Do you take points off the board?
He's going to do it.
But some schools will say you never take points off the board. Because if he takes a penalty, it'll give him a first down. But again, you eliminate those 3 points. I think with this matchup, his offense against the Detroit defense, I think that's a good decision.
Now, why would you be holding
on the defense number 93?
On the defense on a field goal attempt?
The offense is chosen.
Usually what they do is a guy grabs a guy and then holds him or pulls him so that someone else can hit a hole.
It's ball they called against. 93.
Right here, and he's probably going to grab someone so they can make a point here. Watch 93. You see him trying to pull the center out of there? That's what he was doing. He was trying to grab the center, pull him out of there to make a hole for the guy behind him. Big old ball got caught.
It also makes 1st and goal Dallas at the 8. Aikman to Smith. And it's Smith will score.
Well, Jimmy Johnson looks like a genius. You take the 3 off, you get the 6, and you let a little air out of yourself.
It's funny. He doesn't look as mad as he did just a few minutes ago.
Well, I know it. And I'll tell you, did they get a block on Jerry Ball? It was a double team again. But you talk about getting a soft spot in there. Watch the block that they get here. If you're going to run against a nose tackle, you have to get movement. They knocked him all the way back into the linebacker, Chris Spielman. That gave him a soft spot in the middle. Everyone converged, and boom, he had everything to the outside. That was too easy.
The extra point is good. Instead of it being 3-0, it's 7-0 with 2:38 left to play in the first quarter. At the Pontiac Silverdome. They got an interception. They got a fumble. The Cowboys did. They got a good punt return by Kelvin Martin. And finally, they got some points.
And then the other thing they got is they got a field goal. Jerry Ball had the penalty. They got a first down. And then, so they picked up 4 points on that play. And as we look at Wayne Fonts here, the thing that he didn't want to do was to get off to this type of start because this is a team that team like the Cowboys can just steamroll you on lift. And the other thing it does, it takes the crowd out of the game.
He was saying yesterday that a year ago he thought that the 2 franchises, Dallas and Detroit, had been built pretty much alike, and they were pretty much last year at the same stage. They're both in the playoffs. They both had a good young quarterback. They both had outstanding runners. They had at that time a good offensive line, as the Cowboys do now. And all of a sudden, things just fell apart.
Well, the thing is the Cowboys went out and they did something. I mean, they went out, they got a Charles Haley, they got a Thomas Everett. They really helped their defense.
Gray's going to bring it back from 6 yards deep in the end zone. And he almost was knocked back into the end zone. Flag on the play. Clayton Holmes made the hit on Gray. But he reversed directions even quicker than he can.
Now, Mel Gray is so good. He's one of the few kick returners that no matter how deep the ball is kicked into the end zone, he'll bring it out, and his coach tells him to bring it out.
He was 6 yards deep then.
Illegal block in the back by the receiving team during the return, number 54. 10-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Yeah, they started early in the week. They were going to have Lynn Elliott, they were going to have him pooch kick it. Then he couldn't get the pooch, so they told him, the heck with it, just kick it and we'll see if we can tackle Mel Gray. And you saw that celebration there. I guess they call that the old Texas pump. They gave the old Texas pump because he kicked it to Gray, and Gray didn't hurt him.
And he kicked it 6 yards deep in the end zone.
And I'm sure all week, you heard, well, you got to pooch it, you got to keep her away from it. And they said, the heck with all that, just kick it as far as you can and we'll take our chances.
Tough time last week early in the game against Philadelphia. Here's Pete back to Sanders. Sanders made Casillas miss. He just got air. Washington made the stop.
The one thing, you see so many guys miss tackles, and you can't lunge at them because Barry Sanders is one of the backs in this league that will always make you miss, and he doesn't always go forward. You see, he'll stop, and he'll go backwards, and he'll go sideways.
Yeah.
So you go to tackle him, and you're lunging this way, and boom, he's going backwards the same way you're lunging. Then he goes around you.
That's one of the reasons you can't try to hit him hard, because you get out of control and you get nothing.
Plus, just a lot of frustration.
Pete, incomplete, intended for Willie Green. Larry Brown. Darren Woodson put the heat on from the corner.
What the Cowboys are doing when the Detroit Lions go to 4 wide receivers, they're using their 4 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker, that's Ken Norton, then they're using 6 defensive backs.
Green wide left. Perriman comes in motion. Left. Incomplete. Intended for Brett Perriman. And the Cowboys were very close, and he had to unload early.
Yeah, of course, Charles Haley came on a stunt again. They got that thing blocked, but Rodney Peete had to get rid of that ball so quickly. In fact, he didn't have chance to let anything develop.
This defense starting to squeeze a little bit.
You see the stunt there? You see the outside guys coming inside, and he just had to get rid of that ball. They just clapped that whole offensive line on.
Arnold standing about 5 deep in the end zone to punt. Kelvin Martin up close to midfield. Short kick. Martin again. Approached it on the run, had to let it bounce, and Detroit downs it at about the 42. Their own 42. And they're really, Dallas leads 7-0, and they're getting the ball in great shape just about every time they get it. 32-yard punt by Arnold. A minute 25 left to play in the first quarter at the Pontiac Silverdome.
Yeah, the one thing we have here, we see Barry Sanders, and then you go to the other side, you see Emmitt Smith, and I would say, who's the best back in football? And it always starts with these 2 guys, Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and then the other one, of course, is Thurman Thomas up in Buffalo. I think it depends on how you break it down. Even Jimmy Johnson, the Cowboy coach, says he thinks the best pure runner is Sanders.
But he says for our system, It'll be first and goal. Melvin Jenkins, the defender. One of those underthrown that he had to come back for.
You see what Jenkins is arguing? He's arguing and he got pushed. And again, a good wide receiver he'll get that guy when that defensive back gets close to him. See, he goes out, then he goes up, and he'll just kind of push him a little to keep his momentum going. You see right there, just as he's turning, he put his right hand on his back. It wasn't that much of a push, but if you just give him a little anything, the way he's going, he will continue that way so you can stop.
38-yard pass. This is Emmett Smith. Flag on the play. Smith did not score. He came close. Spielman made the stop, but a penalty marker down.
I think that's one of the things the Cowboys want to establish is Alvin Harper as a deep receiver. Because you know you got Michael Irvin, then you got Alvin Harper deep, and then you got Emmett Smith in the backfield, then you got Jay Novacek as a tight end. Boy, that will drive any defensive coordinator crazy.
That penalty called against Jerry Ball, and he appears to be hurt. Doesn't want to come out.
That's the second penalty he's had. Remember on the field goal, he had the penalty where he grabbed, gave the Cowboys a first down. Now, if a player gets hurt and a trainer or a doctor or anyone comes on the field, that player has to come out for a play. Jerry Ball tried not to come out, but once they come out in the field, he had to go out. Jerry Ball, again, is getting double-teamed. You see him, he just got knocked down, got rolled over, got everything, and trampled upon, I think.
Second and goal from the one. Smith. Yeah. This time I do think he got in. Yes, he did. Chris Spielman made the stop, but that lunge at the top got Emmett Smith for his second touchdown of the day.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have a guy like Emmett Smith, you know that he has good moves, but he's also good on the goal line because he's a powerful guy. You see, you have to get some movement. The blue jerseys all want to go down lower than the white jerseys, and then everyone's down. Then the ball carrier wants to get up over the top and beat that jumping linebacker.
Elliott for the extra point. Berline's the holder. Perfect. It is 14-0 Dallas. And every time they've gotten the ball so far, they've been deep in Detroit territory. 2 turnovers. Poor punt by Detroit. And a good return by Martin. The NFL season continues next Sunday with a doubleheader action here on CBS. The early game, most of you will see Washington take on Kansas City. John and I will be there for that one. Then in game 2, most of you will see the Rams battle these same Dallas Cowboys. Check your local listing for the games and times in your area. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL Today. The last word before kickoff. Next Sunday here on CBS Sports.
Probably when you think of the Detroit Lions after Barry Sanders, this Mel Gray is their most potent weapon.
This one at the 1. Jimmy Johnson back in front, leading Gray. James Washington made the stop. That's the end of the first quarter with the score, Dallas 14, Detroit nothing. The Pontiac Silverdome. Pat Summerall with John Madden. The second quarter about to begin. 14-0 Dallas. Emmett Smith scored both touchdowns. Elliott both extra points. Dallas has been able to take advantage of great field position. Rodney Peete, the Detroit quarterback. Johnson, the man in motion. To Sanders. You really have to be patient. Thomas Everett. Sanders. Vincent Smith with an assist.
Did you see Vincent Smith? The first time Sanders gave Smith a move, and Smith just fell down right in the seat of his pants. And then he gets up. Watch him right here, 57. And watch, he's going to come out there. I got him. Whoop, I don't got him. And then, but he bounced right up and got out there, and he does get in on the tackle.
Stayed with it.
I'll tell you, that's seeing a guy getting ready to tackle him and coming up with air. Initially.
Like tackling a sponge that hurts. Sanders. Straight ahead. Washington and Everett. A gain of 13 for Barry Sanders.
Yeah, and he does it so coolly. You know, there's so many guys that celebrate. I mean, they make a yard, they get all up, they jump around, they do this, they do that, they make a tackle, they do this. Barry Sanders just makes play after play after play, puts the ball down and walks back to the huddle. Even when he scores touchdowns. Yeah, and the first guy never gets him. Look, the first guy has not tackled him yet. The second guy once, third guy 4 times, and the fourth or more 4 times.
Here's Pete back to throw. The pocket collapsed. Pete ran into his own man and still goes straight ahead for good yardage. And right now, let's send you again back to New York for an NFL update.
All right, Pat, this time we go to the Meadowlands where Vince Workman threads his way through the Giant defense for 3 yards and a touchdown, and the extra point puts the Packers on top of the Giants 7-6 with 9 minutes to play in the first half, Pat.
Here at the Silverdome, we have over 13 minutes. Now we don't. And Dallas leads Detroit 14-0. Rodney Peete, the quarterback. Moore and Green, the wide receivers. 2 tight ends set up now. Sanders to the left. Sanders with room. Detroit first down as he crosses midfield. Tripped up by Ken Norton. A gain of 7 for Barry Sanders.
You know, an interesting play here is they put the tight end in the backfield. Now watch Russell Maryland. They're going to attack him, but they come with the tight end who's in the backfield, and they hit him. Now, usually, they used to have just one back in the backfield. But see, with the tight end back there, he leads, and he's the guy that got the block for Barry Sanders.
It used to be simple playing in the middle. You just fought pressure. Now you can't do that.
Now you got tight ends come from outside, from the backfield, from everywhere.
Pete has to pull it down and finally takes off with it. Hits one more. Moore to the Dallas 21-yard line. Another Lion first down. Washington wrestled him down. 29-yard pickup.
Yeah, we were talking to Larry Brown about this last night. This is the toughest thing for a defensive back when the quarterback breaks contain. See, he got by Charles Haley. Charles Haley left his feet. Now, this is the toughest covering you have to do. How do you stay with a guy after he breaks contain? Because that throws everything out of timing. Pete made a nice move at dodging Haley there because Charles Haley was coming like a live bullet off his left.
First and 10, Detroit. Again. Casillas gets the sack. And then Leon Lett joined him. A loss of 8.
Yeah, that's a big thing there, getting that pressure straight up the middle. You know, one of the ways I think you can key Barry Sanders is look there, he doesn't have his mouthpiece in. I think if you want to look, if he's going to run with the ball, he has that mouthpiece in. If he has that mouthpiece hanging out, I think it's probably a pass.
That's a pretty good key.
But I still think you have to watch Barry Sanders. Say the mouthpiece is going to go in now. Oh, no, it's out.
He even does that casually.
He can even fake you.
That's Sanders chased by Washington, who hung on. Sanders got a yard.
But the thing that, you know, that when he runs with the ball, that mouthpiece is going to be in. And if there's ever any time that he gets a playoff, it's on a passing play, because unless they're going to throw him a screen, he's not a big part of it. But you say here, he takes that mouthpiece in just before he gets the ball, so you better not wait to find out if he has that mouthpiece in or not.
3rd and 17. Sanders remains the lone setback. And the draw play is to Sanders with some open field. He just sheds a tackle and goes out of bounds at about the 19, bringing up a 4th down. Everett and Brown made the stop.
You know, so far in this game, Pat, the first guy has not tackled Barry Sanders yet, and I think that's probably true of any real good running back. I think Barry Sanders also has 81 yards. The first guy isn't going to get him. Usually the second guy doesn't either. It's usually that 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th guy to get Barry Sanders.
36-yard field goal attempt coming up by Jason Hansen with Jim Arnold holding. Hansen a very, very strong way. Ripped it through, and Detroit gets on the scoreboard. It's 14-3 Cowboys. Detroit's had 2 turnovers. Emmitt Smith has scored twice for the Cowboys as a result. But Barry Sanders, 12 rushes for 81 yards, the most he's had in any half of any game so far this year is 57. So Barry Sanders off to a great start. Yet the Lions only have 3 points. Dallas leading 14-3. Hansen set to kick it off. Gets it out to about the 33 before he's knocked down after that line drive kickoff by Hansen. 29-yard return, stopped by Colin.
Yeah, a group that's really doing a good job today, just taking off from where they did last week, is that Dallas Cowboy offensive line. They did an outstanding job against the Eagles. In fact, Eric Williams, the right tackle, who someday is going to be one of the best tackles in all of football, was named the NFC Player of the Week for blocking last week against Reggie White.
And is he big?
But that whole line deserves credit because they did a great job.
Emmitt Smith. Got 5 yards. Blades. Here is that offensive line. Stepnoski in the middle. Newton and Giesick the guards. Tournay and Eric Williams, who's 6'6" and 320. He looked like the side of the hotel moved into the room last night.
Yeah, and of that group, he's probably going to be the best. John Giesick grades out the best right now. Of course, big old Nate Newton's always been one of my favorites. The left guard for right tackle. Old Nate, he'll bring a load for you. But that whole group, as a group, has worked together well and been outstanding.
Aikman to Novacek. Not quite enough for a first down. Very close. Spielman out to make the stop.
Yeah, as we look there at Aikman, he brought up an interesting thing yesterday playing in this dome. He said sometimes, you know, quarterbacks think about this, but this guy's a tough guy. I mean, he's not an excuse maker or anything. I'm really impressed with him. But he says in a dome, sometimes the depth perception is tough because of the roof line. You look up and you're looking downfield deep for a guy, and that roof line gets in the line of where the guy is.
Not so much here as in Minnesota. I guess it's really a problem there. 3rd and 1, Novacek in motion again. That's Emmitt Smith, flag on the play. I think Detroit was offside.
Yep, and Troy Aikman got that one. That's where the quarterback gets up. He tells all the guy, we're going to change the snap count. Let's go on a long count. Everyone hold it, hold it, hold it. And then he gives them that hard count, and the Lions jump.
There's Big Nate.
Watch Aikman. Now watch his body move as he does this. See, that's what the hard count is. You see it? That was the hard count. When he moved the shoulders and the head. That's when you give him, you know, hut, hut, hut. And that's the real hut is a hard count.
That made me jump.
Sometimes that does happen. You give that old hard count, and your own guy jumps.
I got down on a stance. Irvin split wide to the left. First down, Dallas. That's Novacek in motion. Fake to Smith. And the pass to Irvin. That's a catch. Jenkins, the defender. Aikman almost didn't get there in time.
Yeah, I was wondering when he was going to throw to Michael Irvin. That time there, he was wide open. The Lions were in a zone. Irvin just came out there and running out. You just see him. He gets out there to the out, just keeps both feet in bounds. There was no one around him. Good read by Troy Aikman.
Again, Irvin left. Harper wide right. Down intended again for Irvin. Hit by Dennis Gibson.
The other thing that Aikman has done in this game here, he almost got intercepted there. That would have been a heck of a play by Gibson, but Aikman has hit 5 different receivers on these 5 different drives. So, that's a good thing about having good receivers is that you have a chance to spread the ball around. We talked yesterday to Wayne Fonts. He said that if they struggle, he would go to Eric Kramer. I see Eric Kramer warming up now.
Here's Emmitt Smith to about the 37. Stopped by Kofer. Smith got 6.
But the Lions are 2-6, and there's a lot of people saying that, Eric Kramer beat the Cowboys in the playoffs here last year. Eric Kramer came into the game against the Cowboys when Rodney Peete got hurt, as a matter of fact, and had a good day. And Wayne Font says, he said, if I felt we were struggling in the game, I would go to Eric Kramer.
Well, they really have been able to move the ball with Rodney Peete. It's just that Dallas has had such great field position every time they got the ball. Aikman on 3rd down. Back to throw it. Dumps it to Harper. First down, Dallas at the Detroit 21. William White stopped Harper.
Yeah, I'll tell you, did Mike Kofer put a move on Tuanay? Watch him here. Here's Mark Tuanay, who's been doing a heck of a job. But watch him as he gets him coming out here. He gets that club inside and puts him right on the ground. This is a strong guy. Watch him, boom. Now watch your left hand come in and club him right to the ground. That's the thing where you get the guy going. They call that torque or something. You get him going the way he's going and just take your arm and just club him that same way.
That's Emmitt Smith. Ran into a stack of blockers. Kofer and Spielman on the tackle for Detroit.
This Cowboy team right now, I don't know if they're the most talented team in football, but they're sure the best playing right now. I mean, the things that they do offensively. I think you know about Aikman, you know about Smith, you know about Michael Irvin, Harper, all those guys. Novacek. The offensive line has really been doing a job, and the defense being #1 rated, they've done a heck of a job.
As you say, they may not be the most talented, but they're the best, and that's a tribute to Jimmy Johnson and the coaching staff. Emmitt Smith, tribute to him, too. Not many blockers as he was stopped by Melvin Jenkins.
Is Woody Widenhofer with the headset there. He's a defensive coordinator. Wayne Fonts was just asking him, hey, what's happening out there? Well, what's happening is you're playing a team that is a better offense than your defense is.
3rd, about 3.
And that offensive line has done a job on Jerry Ball. Other than that one time he was single, he really hasn't been a factor against the run.
There was a pinched nerve in his shoulder. Emmitt Smith on the draw play broke one tackle before he got started and got the first down. Hofer finally brought him down.
I think Porsche, number 91, got penetration. Robert Porsche, and he was in the backfield. And how Smith got away from that, you wonder. Here's Porsche right here. He hits this thing, boom. Emmitt Smith hits it right here and gets away from him. Yeah, because one thing, you need penetration to stop the run, but you also need balance, like Smith has there, to get away from the penetration that's trying to stop the run.
1st and 10, just outside the 10. Irvin wide right this time. That's Harper in motion behind Aikman. And then Smith to about the 6.5. Pritchett made the stop.
Emmitt Smith carries the ball so much, and someone was talking to him during the week. Are you worried that you're going to carry the ball so much and get beat up that you won't have a long career? I said, no, you can't think about those things. He said, what am I supposed to say when they call my number? Am I supposed to say, no, I don't want it? You just go and you play. I'll tell you, he's one of those guys that said last week you couldn't get the blood out of the turnip. They got the blood out of the turnip last week in Emmitt Smith.
2 minutes left to play in the first half. Dallas at the Detroit 7. They lead 14-3. Back at the Pontiac Silverdome, the home of the Detroit Lions. Dallas, the best record in pro football. There's Eric Kramer, who beat Dallas in the playoffs last year and did it very effectively, warming up on the sideline. The Cowboys leading 14-3, about to add more. 2nd down. They can make a 1st down without scoring. Aikman trying to dump it into the middle, hit by Jerry Ball.
You see the vertical leap of Jerry Ball on that play?
No.
He got up in the air, and then he looked like he got mad at the ball. That looked like a volleyball spike. Watch him get up there, and then boom, he's going to knock it up and then try and get it down. But you see that? I mean, he knocked that thing up into a thing like a kick, and then he got all discombobulated. I mean, he had the right leg going one way, the left leg going the other, both arms going, shirt tail hanging out.
Things started coming out of there. 3rd at the 6.5. Aikman to throw it. Outside Smith. Taken out of bounds by William White. And field goal time.
And that was a big play by Jerry Ball, because that made that 3rd down, and now they were rushing, and they made Aikman throw the ball when he didn't want to the short guy and not get the 1st down. Hey, but I think you go back to that 2nd down play. There was a big play by Jerry Ball that made him 3rd and long. Then they got the pass rush, and he had to get the ball off too early.
So the field goal team is on with 1.5 minutes left. A Detroit timeout. Dallas set to try a field goal. Lynn Elliott. Jimmy Johnson looking on. Steve Berline holding. 25 yards out. 17-3. Dallas leads Detroit. Stranger to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. His Raiders and Kansas City Chiefs wage the best war in the old AFL as John and his arch rival
Welcome back,
Hank
John.
Stram,
It's nice to have you
Matt
back in Kansas City. You'll be interested to know that I've informed the current coaching staff to make sure they put the sound system on so they can listen to all the things you say while you're there, just like we used to do when you came down to play us in Kansas City.
I'm sure you remember it well.
I remember Municipal Stadium, though, when we used to play in there.
So do I. That's Gray finally taken down by Darren Woodson. But a flag on the play way back deep in Detroit territory. And as you would possibly figure, the illegal use of the hands, illegal block in the back by the return team. It happens so often.
Illegal blocking back by the receiving team during the return, number 21. 10-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Yeah, that's one of the problems with having the best thing you do is a kick returner. It seems like half the time, or more than half the time, you run back a kick, you have a penalty on the play.
So Rodney Peete apparently will still be the Detroit quarterback. Dallas leading 17-3.
Yeah, I know. To go to the zoo, they want to probably put you in a cage and have people feed you, throw turnips at you. Turnips and rutabagas, big old hunks of meat at you. In a cage. Put Madden in the zoo.
They threw the turnips to you, you throw them back.
Yeah, where you get turnips.
I told you get them out of the ground. Woodson made the stop on Sanders, but a penalty flag down again.
No, but if you wanted to buy some time, you wanted to go to a restaurant, you say, well, I feel like having some turnips tonight. I want to go get a, what do you call them, a plate or a bowl? I want to get a big old bowl of turnips.
Well,
where do you go to buy them? In a restaurant?
Well, usually you buy them in one of those stands along the side of the road, and they got a lot of sand on them. So you got to be careful you get rid of the sand. But the aroma and the taste, well, you know.
Yeah. I bet it. Do that. Those offensive linemen down there, looking at those plays, looking at the defenses, see how they line up, what they're doing, checking it out.
A lot of the linemen can't flip those pages like that. Sanders, Tony Tolbert, and Charles Haley wrapped him up. Timeout, Dallas.
You know, you just look at the guy, Barry Sanders, and the thing, you just can't get him. I mean, you know, he's a kid that probably when he was 5 years old, he was never it. You know, and he'll probably in his lifetime never be it. You know, like the first guy has never made a tackle yet. The first guy that hit him hasn't tackled him today. The second guy got 4 of them. And then it usually, like I said, it's usually the 4th or the 5th guy there that gets them.
I don't care who you are or how long you play this game. When you start to get hit, you close your eyes. And if you close your eyes when you're trying to tackle him, forget it. He's gone.
Yeah, and on the other hand, both he and Emmitt Smith, all the great backs, have great vision. You know, I mean, they can see the guy coming at him, and they can see on both sides anything coming at him. And sometimes you look at a guy like Barry Sanders, and you think that he can see behind him.
But you lose track of him, and he's all of a sudden he vanished.
You see that? There was some guy in a suit holding a football. What the heck was he doing?
Here's Sanders. Leon left. And Tony Tolbert led the Dallas defensive charge. 2 yards for Sanders. Timeout, Dallas. 53 seconds left. First half.
Nipper and Chipper show us what the RCA home theater with SRS sound looks like. Now they show us what it feels like. Looks like.
53 seconds left to play in the first half. Coming up, Greg and Terry with the scores and highlights, and a special feature on roughing the ref. And they don't work bad.
No, and that has to be the umpire, and he's the guy who stands right behind that defensive line. It seems like this year, every game we do, we see an umpire get hit, not only on the running game, but teams are running so many crossing patterns now that the crossing receivers are hitting those umpires.
I'm surprised that they don't get hit more often.
What they're supposed to do is on a pass, when the ball snapped, they're supposed to step up into the line. And sometimes they just get stationary there, and they're like a stump out there.
And there are teams that use that. Try to run the defender into the umpire. Other games later today, Phoenix and the Rams, Redskins at Seattle, the Jets, Denver, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. That's a big one. San Diego, Kansas City, that also a big one. tonight. The Bengals and the Bears. 3rd and 12 here at the Silverdome. Jimmy Johnson, who injured his ankle earlier, came back to try to play, has injured it again, and now he's out of the action. The Lions will go with 4 wide receivers. In motion. Pete to Sanders. He just sort of skates out to about the 10 and a flag on the play.
Yeah, this is a tough thing. The Detroit offensive players are getting frustrated. The fans are getting frustrated. But they're already down 17-3. They have bad field position, and they want them to throw there. They have trouble with their offensive line, trouble with pass protection. And you think that this is a time to open it up, but it really isn't a time to open it up. I mean, if you open it up here, this roof could cave in on you.
Face mask violation called against the Cowboys. Intentional or unintentional? Unintentional.
It's just fun to watch Barry Sanders run, too. I mean, you can say, well, they're not passing. They ought to be throwing the ball. But the alternative isn't bad, especially when you have poor field position like this. Now, like you say, if this is unintentional, it's a 5-yard penalty. If it's intentional, it would be a 15.
There was no infraction on the play.
Now they say no infraction.
Oh, it has to be an infraction. What do you mean? What do you mean there was no infraction? We saw the infraction. Yep. It was just whether you're going to give him a 5-yard penalty or a 15-yard penalty.
If it was a 5, it would not have been a first down.
Yeah. How can the guy call it, see it, and not call it an infraction? What do you want, some more infraction? I think that was a borderline 5 or 15, and then the Cowboys saw they dodged a bullet, so they're taking a timeout here.
And so Detroit will have to punt again from their own end zone.
Weekend. No time.
Halftime, just 44 seconds, as a matter of fact. The Cowboys now have used all of their timeouts. Jimmy Johnson headed for the locker room. Jim Arnold in the end zone to punt. Hasn't been one of his best days. Cowboys have Martin back by himself this time, and that means they're going to put some heat on the punter. They're coming after this one. He got it out of there. Martin signals fair catch. Run into by a Lion, and flags come flying from everywhere. You have to give that man an opportunity to make the catch. He signaled.
What the complaint is, what Melvin Jenkins is saying, that he was blocked into him. See, now he signaled for the fair catch. And as you said, you have to let him catch the ball, but was he blocked into him? See, Jenkins is saying that he was blocked into him. See, now Gant is right there behind him, and he's going to push him, but he really doesn't touch him. I think that's kind of one of those, he didn't mean it, but he did do it. I don't think he was blocked.
That was Woodson.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the kick on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, that was Darren Woodson running with Melvin Jenkins, and it didn't look like he touched him, because if he did block him, it would have had to been a clip. So if he didn't clip him, then he didn't block him, then he didn't block him into it.
And so Dallas takes over again in Detroit territory. Detroit's been penalized 6 times. The Cowboys only once. They lead 17-3. 34 seconds left to play in the first half.
What about the flip in the back?
Aikman, with time, to Novacek dropped it. Juggled it and lost it.
Yeah, which wasn't bad, because remember, the Cowboys have no timeouts here. So I think if you're going to throw the ball, you want to get it to the sidelines before you take it to the end zone.
Coming up at the half, Greg and Terry with the scores and highlights and that feature on Roughing the Rep. Bumping the ump.
That'd probably be more apropos.
Urban and Martin to the left. Aikman to throw. Looking left. Urban, the catch. And the clock will still run. He didn't get out of bounds. So the Cowboys will have to hurry up. Sheldon White knocked Urban out of bounds, but the contact did not stop the clock. Aikman does.
You know, Pat, we were talking about the umpire and show why he's in the middle of it. Here's the umpire right here. See, he's here behind the defense. Now, as these guys start going back, he has to start coming up. So guys are coming across this way and hitting him. And if they run the ball, they run it right at him. So that's why, see, he even gets in a stance. You see him? Both hands on both knees, kind of knees bent a little, eyes crossed, the whole thing.
Elliott from 42. It's good. Still 3 seconds left to play in the first half. But Elliott puts the Cowboys on top now 20-3.
That was good coaching there, too, because when they had that penalty, there wasn't a penalty. Jimmy Johnson took a timeout, used his third timeout, got good field position, got that 15-yard penalty, hit a couple of plays, and then got the field goal before they go to the intermission.
Talk about a guy that really gets into the game.
Well, he feels a lot better about it now than he did last night. He was talking last night that the Cowboys were ripe, that they were too relaxed during the week. And I've never seen a coach as upset as he was about Michael Irvin missing that airplane.
Oh, boy. He was the color of a rutabaga.
Yeah, that's right. Michael Irvin, I still think, is feeling the wrath of Jimmy Johnson. We were at the hotel, and they were waiting for Michael Irvin. Jimmy was going to have a talk with him, but yeah, I mean, he's been his guy too. I mean, he coached him in college, and of course with the Cowboys. And you know, when it happens to a star, it's a tough thing.
There's that pooch kick, bounding around. Mel Gray winds up with it, winds up on the ground. Woodson first there, and Clayton Holmes also to make the stop. That's the end of the first half. With the score, Dallas 20, Detroit 3.
Seven score. Vince Workman from 3 yards out puts the Packers up 7-6, and the Packers have a guy named Chuck Cecil on the field who hits awful hard.
Well, you got to keep your eye on Cecil. He reads the run well, comes up into the right of your screen, wham, just unloads. Also unloads on the receiver in the very next play.
Now the Giants have been able to run the ball well. That opens up the passing game, and Jeff Hostetler finds Stephen Baker down the sideline. That set up a touchdown, the 35-yarder, and the Giants lead.
Three things hurt Detroit. One, they're not as good as Dallas. Two, they had poor field position. And then three, they had those 2 turnovers.
And even though Dallas didn't get a lot of points as a result of the turnovers, they did have them pinned down, and they did get a couple of poor kicks by Detroit.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think the turnovers may not have directly turned into points like they do sometimes, but they turned into good field position. So it's been kind of Dallas having the better field position, and maybe more importantly, packing a bigger load, having a better football team.
That does help. Kelvin Martin back deep for the Cowboys.
Because they could sure spread it out on you.
Hanson's kick is high and deep at the goal line. There's Martin. To about the 26th, hit by Harry Colan.
Martin on the return for Dallas. Colan on the stop for Detroit.
Average starting position. Look at this.
Well, that's the thing. You see that Dallas started on Detroit's 47, and Detroit started on their own 14. So if you do some quick math there, that's 33 yards of field position. And sometimes that, in college football, that's always a big thing. Changing the field, shorten the field, hash marks, and all that stuff. But it's really true in any part of any game.
Aikman to Smith. Emmett Smith to the 30. Spielman made the stop.
Again, I think since Norv Turner came to the Cowboys, they're really going to throw this shorter stuff. If you look under 10 yards in here, 5 out of 10, 22 yards. Between 10 and 20, they're 2 out of 5. And then once you get over 20, you can see that they've only thrown one pass. And that was the one that was, that deep one that they completed early to Alvin Harper.
And it was underthrown.
Yeah. So I think they have to do more of that.
Sideline pattern to Irvin. Dallas first down. Covered by and stopped by Melvin Jenkins. Mad because he didn't break it.
Well, that's what he's thinking there. The one thing about Michael Irvin, he always does that. He always thinks that he's always open, and he always thinks that every time he catches a ball, he ought to score a touchdown with it. And that's pretty good. You see, he was looking there, but he didn't have enough room.
That's right.
I think he thought when he turned to that left that he had a little more sideline there, and he looked down and said, uh-oh, my next step's going to be out of bounds.
First down, Dallas, their own 42. Nova check in motion, and Aikman will throw on first down and go deep. Harper. Touchdown, Dallas. One-man signal touchdown. The man on the side said, this is Michael Irvin. I'm sorry, I thought it was Harper. 57-yard. Now they're saying his knee was down at about the 1 or 2.
Look at old Nate Newton. He gets down there and he gives him the old hit in the hat. Now, you just caught an out on Melvin Jenkins. See, so what he's going to do is he's going to sell him that he's going to run that pattern. He's going to sell him he's going to run a hook to get him to glide there to hold so he can run by him. He does it, and that's a perfect throw by Troy Aikman. Now, what they're saying is where his knee goes down, it's where the ball is when his knee goes down. They said it was on the 1-yard line.
Emmett Smith. His third of the day. From a yard out.
I think Michael Irvin, he's looking up there at that screen to see how they did it. The players all here in Detroit always look at the play, then they look up at the screen to see the replay or the live action. There's Michael Irvin there. He's looking at his own play. See, he was able to come back in the sideline and then look up there to see if he was in the end zone or not. There's the screen, and this is what it looks like.
And that's live. That's Elliott with Berline holding. As Dallas leads now 26. Now 27 to nothing. To 3. Detroit got the field goal. Dallas has 2 and 3 touchdowns.
Here's Michael Irvin here. He's going to come in, by Jenkins here, make a move here, and then go back up. One thing that really helped us is Troy Aikman gave a pump fake, and it also held the safety, because he should be there, but the safety should also be there to help. But watch as Irvin runs and he makes his move, Troy Aikman gives a pump. See, the motion brings the safety, Benny Blades, over a little. Right there, the pump, that holds both the corner and the safety, and that let Michael Irvin get a couple of steps right there. That was a good call by the official, because we're going to see here, it's where the ball is when his knee goes down. And we watch where his knee hits, and we'll stop it right there. See, the knee is down there, and when the knee is here, and the ball is here, so they spotted it on the 1-yard line.
Elliott's kickoff deep into the end zone to Gray. He's going to bring it out from 4 yards. And Gray with some room. Hit by the kicker and tripped up by Elliott. He almost broke it.
And the guy made that, this is a guy that Jimmy Johnson was worried about, and the guy who made the tackle was the guy who had to make the tackle, his rookie kicker, number 2, Lynn Elliott. He just put his head down. I don't know if that's a tackle or that's one of those things where you just kind of put your head down, your shoulder into the ground, close your eyes, and hope he trips over you.
A protective tackle.
And he's bragging about it. He said, well, did I get that guy? Can't fool me in the open field. I'll tackle anyone.
Rodney Peete, still the quarterback. Screen pass to Perryman. With some room and out of bounds by Washington. And a gain of 6.
Yeah, let's see the kicker here. I'm sure his eyes are closed. You see? That's a good tackle. Head down, eyes closed, knees bent, bow-legged, and then just go right to the ground and he trips over you.
Go get a drink.
Yeah, and then tell the guy. But see, the only guy to listen to him is the guy in street clothes.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee you there's no guy in shoulder pads that's going to listen to Lynn Elliott.
2nd and 4. Pass complete to Mike Farr. Should be enough for Detroit first down. Is a gain of 5.
I think the Lions came in here. Now they're going with no huddle. They're trying to change this pace. I think they came in here feeling that they could really throw the ball in the Cowboys. Now 27-3, they have to.
Here's Rodney Peete, chased by Tolbert. Out of bounds by Norton. He went almost up into the stand. Now they take him out.
That's tough for him. You make that long chase, and then you want to get that one shot in. That's exactly what happens. Again, when the quarterback runs, he's a runner, so you can hit him, but you can't hit him when he goes out of bounds. It looked like Ken Norton gave him a push right there, right at the sideline.
He took the table and the telephone and everything with him.
They're still putting that back together.
2nd down. Lead about 9. Peete going deep. Pass is intercepted by Everett. His 2nd of the day. Peete is still on the ground.
I think Peete got hit just as he threw that ball, and it looks like he hurt his right arm or shoulder because he's not getting up. I mean, this pass rush of the Cowboys has really been something. They bringing safeties, corners, letting guys come. And you see it was that 2nd hit by Tony Tolbert that got him.
It was Maryland first and then Tolbert.
Yeah, if we look at that shot again, we're going to see Tolbert come from his right. Rodney Peete's looking downfield. Watch the hit he takes right there. I mean, that's his shoulder and neck and the whole right side of his body. You know, one thing about a quarterback, they can't look at the rush. They have to look beyond the rush and downfield, and they take some outlandish hits.
2nd and 4. Emmett Smith gets a first down for the Cowboys. Into Detroit territory, a gain of 5. Jerry Ball made the stop.
You know, last year Detroit had so much success in the playoffs, remember, against them, that 17 of their first 20 plays, remember, were passes, and today they only threw 7 passes total in the first half, which was a result of a better Dallas team, and again, that poor field position we talked about.
First down, Dallas at the Detroit 47. To Darrell Johnston, the fullback. Stopped by Spielman. A gain of 7. Saw a moment ago the trainer for the Lions had one finger up in front of Rodney Peete, waving back and forth, saying how many and where.
Well, again, the first thing they have to check is at the neck, the shoulder. You can see that, you're saying they're looking like he strained that part of the neck, but they make sure that's okay, and then they go to the head, the concussion, to see if he still can understand everything.
Emmett Smith, a gain of 7 and another Dallas first down. Spielman and Blades made the stop.
Hey, whatever it is, whether it's the neck or the head or the combination, Tony Tolbert really put a hit up on side of Rodney Peete's head, and sometimes you don't know where it hurts. It's just the whole head and the whole side of the body that hurts.
Well, Russell Maryland had him low from the other side, so there was no give.
Oh, and then you say, well, why'd you throw the interception? Because they just look at the heat that he's been taking all day. That's why the ball was intercepted. And again, I think that interception has to go to the pass rush.
Emmitt Smith, 3 touchdowns, 19 carries. Here's Aikman. To Alfredo Roberts off his hands, intercepted by Melvin Jenkins. And so the Lions will take over there.
Boy, did someone block Emmitt Smith? They were looking for him. They haven't been able to get Emmitt Smith all day. And then when you get the interception and you turned offense, boy, did they get him.
Eric Kramer will come in at quarterback for Detroit. The Lions trail Dallas 27-3. The Silverdome, Detroit. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Eric Kramer, the Lion quarterback. The Cowboys remember him. Jumping in front, as so often happens when you change quarterbacks.
Because it's a whole different rhythm, it's a whole different inflection, it's a whole different voice. You know, it's not only different to the defense, but it's also different to your own guys.
False start, prior to the snap on the center. 5-yard penalty, remaining first down.
And that's the rookie center, Blake Miller. And a center can't have a false start. What he does, he starts to move the ball before he brings it up. Now watch it. You see the ball there? If he moves it, he has to bring it. You see, he moved it, but he didn't bring it. Once you start that thing, you got to come back all the way up. You can't change your mind in the middle of it. And that's like diving off a board and say, oh, I don't want to do this. Well, you can't go back up.
Once you move it, you got to bring it.
Yep, you got to bring it or they'll call you.
Stroll into the backfield.
Haley did something there that I like, though. Not jumping off sides, but some guys that are a lot less players than Charles Haley will jump off sides and then go smash the quarterback. He knew he was wrong, and he didn't take the free shot.
Number 94, unabated towards the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
The word on Rodney Peete is that he has a pinched nerve in his neck and a slight concussion and will not be back.
You know, and if you look again, they had a lot of pressure on Rodney Peete. He was sacked twice, hurried 5 times, knocked down twice, had 2 interceptions, and then you add to that the bad field position. It was a long day.
Eric Kramer finally gets the play underway, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Perryman. Kenneth Gant on the coverage. Now, after facing that first down situation with 2 linebackers, the Cowboys go back to their original defensive theory of 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, and 6 defensive backs.
You know, you always have the dilemma when you play these guys. When they give you the 4 receivers, you'd like to play 6 defensive backs, but that only leaves you 1 linebacker against Barry Sanders. And if you play 2 linebackers, that only leaves you 5 defensive backs against 4 wide receivers.
Kramer to throw it. A blitz was on, and Kramer was leveled, intended for Herman Moore. Now you think now about that pressure from Dallas like this.
Well, you know, a guy that's really helped is right here, Jim Jeffcoat. You know, we know that Haley gives pressure from this side. They've gotten good pressure inside from the tackles, but Jim Jeffcoat is really having a pretty good game. I mean, you know, he's having a pretty good game. They had a real good game last week, and has been that pressure guy. He used to be the right side. Now he's playing over on the left side, and on passing downs, he always seems to be around the quarterback.
Many more like that, and we'll see a third Detroit quarterback. Andre Ware would be, but he's inactive.
They took Russell Maryland out, and they dropped him back in pass defense.
Again, confusion on the snap between Miller and Kramer.
Yeah, that's a tough situation. I mean, the Detroit line has been, every problem that could happen they've had this year, including a rookie center and a new quarterback coming in.
Prior to the snap on the offense, 5-yard penalty, it remains third down.
Yeah, we had one that was on the center. Now this one's on the quarterback. See, if you start the ball, you have to bring it. But the quarterback, if you start out, it's hard for you to get back up in there.
So if he brings it, you got to take it.
Yeah, that's right. Or you can't get out of there before he brings it. You got to wait for him to bring it.
Help wanted offensive lineman. And boy, that is pretty well true not only here but around the league.
And if you're going to bring some help for the offensive line, I think you could bring some help for this defense too.
Here's Kramer back to throw. This time he does have time. And Eric Kramer takes off, dives back to about the original line of scrimmage. A scramble of 6 stopped by Miles, and Detroit will have to punt. I get the feeling that when they go back to Dallas, Michael Irvin will be on the team plane.
Yeah, but I think the big thing is the next road trip they go on, is he going to be on that? And I'll guarantee you, the next time they take a road trip, he's going to be on that airplane.
Kelvin Martin standing back deep. This time a pretty good punt. Out of bounds, only pretty good. Dallas will take over. 35-yard kick. Fleischer for second. Leski in 20. You have to be over 40. 27-3 at the Pontiac Silverdome. Dallas leading Detroit. Curvin Richards is the running back. And as the coach, Jimmy Johnson, said to us last week about this guy, he can move the chains.
And he wants to give Emmitt Smith a thing. Watch Jerry Ball here, how close he gets. That's what you call paint to paint. He gets his helmet right up against the center's helmet. In fact, he had it right on Stepnoski's helmet. But Stepnoski did a pretty good job. Jerry Ball is hurting in there today. I mean, his knee or something, because they didn't move him out one-on-one early, but then they started double teaming, and they started getting a lot of running in there. He looks like he's holding that knee in a funny way.
That, plus he had a pinched nerve in his shoulder earlier and had it come out. Irvin Richards again, and he'll move the sticks. William White got him out of bounds.
Jimmy Johnson said, in fact, he planned to get Curvin Richards in today in the second quarter. Said what he wants to do, instead of waiting until the end of the game, and then you got a real tight game, you don't want to give Emmitt Smith a break then. And you don't want to give him a break right off the bat. So he thought the best time to give him the break would be in the middle of the game somewhere.
And with 5:40 left to play in the third quarter, and Dallas leading 27-3, he figured this is a good time to look.
I think that's the key word, being 27-3.
Yeah.
Why bang up Emmitt Smith now?
That's Harper in motion. Screen pass to Darrell Johnston. And the big fullback gets a loss of a yard after a lot of effort.
They don't do a lot of tricks. That was one. They faked the counter trade to the right and threw the old screen back the other way. Look at this. Here's a thing. You got the time of possession. You see Dallas has won that. And then the other thing time of possession gives you is more plays. They've had 43 plays. Detroit has only had 32. Then Detroit gets behind, and for example, in this second half, Barry Sanders hasn't carried the ball yet. And that's another way to get Barry Sanders out of the game. Get ahead where a 5 or 10 yard run doesn't do anything.
Second down. Bateman. Novacek at the 45. Stopped by George Jameson after a gain of 7. That'll bring up third.
You know, Aikman looks a lot cooler than he used to. I mean, I think he used to be, one of those guys that was always kind of pumped up and kind of had a lineman's mentality, which That's what I always liked about Aikman. But he looks like he's a lot quicker now, that he's dealing the ball off. He's eliminating the first read, getting to the second, third a lot quicker. And I think in doing that, everything he does is quicker.
Well, Jimmy Johnson was saying last night, it was sort of the macho idea that you had to stand in there and look tough, be tough, stand in the pocket, and not throw it away. Now he's throwing it away when there's nothing there.
And I think a lot of that has to do with Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator.
Sure.
I mean, he came in here from the Rams and kind of took Troy Aikman over, and he brought, that with him in that balance we just looked at. 22 runs, 22 passes, and then within those passes, everyone catches the ball. They really spread it out well.
Third down, they need about 5. Aikman gets it out to Emmitt Smith, then he'll get the first down. So much for the rest for Emmitt.
Yeah, we were talking about Norv Turner. This is Norv Turner right here, the offensive coordinator. Dave Wanstadt, the defensive coordinator. I think that those guys have done a heck of a job. I mean, the whole staff has done a very good job. But Jimmy Johnson gives the offense to Norv Turner, gives the defense to Dave Wanstadt, and then he kind of takes control of the overall picture.
Irvin goes wide left, Harper right. First and 10, Dallas. Aikman back to Irvin Richards. Spindler led the Detroit defense. Richards got 3.
Tommy Agee's in there now at fullback. So this is one good thing that the Cowboys can do now with a 27-3 lead, is they're able to get some guys out and then conversely get some guys in coming off 2 tough games. I mean, 2 weeks ago they played the Raiders, tough physical battle. Last week they played the Eagles. You can't give any tougher and more physical than that game was last week.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Plus, when you have that dislike element added in there. Here's Aikman to throw it. Novacek, first down, Dallas and more. Novacek to the 25-yard line of Detroit, dragged down by Spielman.
I think one of the best adjustments the Cowboys made this week was Novacek going to the gloves. Because he's a sure-handed guy. He had that broken finger. He had that little bandage on it. And last week, nothing would work. I mean, he dropped 3 passes. But you see how quicker Aikman looks back there?
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like he can read sooner. He can eliminate the first, the second. Then when he decides to go, boom, it's just right there, right now. Novacek feels so good about his hand, he gave a guy a 2-handed shiver.
First down, Cowboys at the Detroit 25. Agee the fullback. This is Richards. Irvin Richards knocked out of bounds at about the 21 by Jamison.
But again, you get back to that job that offensive line, because Jay Novacek really doesn't do a lot of blocking.
She looking for you?
I don't know who is. That's yeah. I think she's the guard down there for that sign. But anyway,
he's right up here if you're looking for him.
I don't think anyone cares. But the thing is the offensive line doesn't get a lot of help from the tight end. I mean, they get some help from their fullback, but that's why I think this group of 5 guys has done an outstanding job.
There's Aikman, flag on the play. Aikman up into the pocket, intended for Novacek. William White batted it down, but Detroit appeared to be offside.
Yeah, that was a free play.
On the defense, number 95, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
As a coach, John, Detroit's been penalized a lot today. Would you like to see your team be penalized a lot as a result of aggressiveness, or it seems like Don Shula's teams are never penalized almost. They are, of course. But
yeah, but these teams, I mean, they haven't been penalized out of aggressiveness. I mean, they've been, penalized for doing some silly things, I think, and to me, that's discipline.
Second and short. That's Agee. 2 yards and another Dallas first down. Kofer made the stop.
Yeah, we're talking about the offensive line and the job they've done. And the left side of the offensive line, they ran 17 times to the left. You look, well, now it's 18. They've run 18 times for 65 yards, 7 times to the right. And they did that same thing last week against the Eagles. They were almost 2 or 3 times as much to their left, which would be behind Mark Tuinei and Nate Newton over there on that side. Of course, last week it was away from Reggie White. But they have really done a job of run blocking and excellent pass protection.
And to the left like that sort of goes against the grain. You think of every team, almost every team, as being right-handed, running to their right.
And then, of course, when you have a guy like Emmitt Smith, there's some of them you can start to the right and they'll end up at the left. Or remember the big one against the Eagles last week. He started to the left and ended up to the right. Look at the size of it. Now, there's a big old right tackle, Eric Williams, number 79. There's a big man.
Huge. First down, Cowboys. Aikman. Touchdown to Michael Irvin. Great throw. I don't think Irvin saw the ball until it was about 3 yards away.
That was one of those timing passes. Aikman's going to come back. Irvin is up there in the left. He's going to break right now. He threw him the ball right now. It was a little behind him. And Irvin, by the time he turned, he just reached up and grabbed it. But Michael Irvin has that talent. I saw him do that against a lot of teams.
Saw him do it against the Redskins and Darrell Green last year when no one was throwing at Darrell Green.
Yeah, and then he went over and talked to his teammate, Emmitt Smith, double trouble. I think this week it's only single trouble.
The extra point is good. And Dallas adds to their lead, 34-3.
Again, here's Michael Irvin. He's just going to run a slant in here. Not very good coverage, but watch Aikman get back and throw it before Irvin's even turned. And it's a little behind him. Watch him. He starts in here, starts into the slant. The ball's thrown when he's on the 5-yard line, and he catches it 1 yard into the end zone. He made it look awfully easy. He took that ball, gave it to the equipment man, Buck Buchanan, told him to put it away. He wanted to keep that one.
That's a very safe place with Buck. Buck doesn't give anything away.
No, Michael Irvin still doesn't look in real good humor, though, either.
Gray down at about the 14 by Kenneth Gant.
See what they do is, in fact, he and Emmitt Smith both, they save all their touchdown balls. So there's Buck Buchanan. See, he got all that stuff hanging from him. He got the belt there. He got stuff in the back. Among all the things he has to do, look at Buck. He's even going to keep that thing locked.
Oh, yeah.
Then he puts the ball in there. He has 3 of Emmitt Smith. You see the 3 over there? Those are for Emmitt Smith. Then he has a jersey for someone. Then on the right side, he puts Michael Irvin.
And I'll guarantee you, Buck knows where everything is that's in there. What's in there? He takes inventory on the gum.
And the other thing, he knows what's in, and it's locked up too.
Yeah, right.
So no one else is going to get it. They're not even going to know what's in there.
Kramer to Mike Farr. Eight-yard gain. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. Dallas 34, Detroit 3. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. One more quarter at the Silverdome. Dallas 34, Detroit 3. Lion ball, second down, and about 3. Flag on the play. That's Barry Sanders. Maryland comes out of there with the ball. Flags all over the place, and another one.
I think that's going to be that free play anyway, Pat, because that was the motion against Detroit. I think it was illegal motion where the guy turned upfield before the ball was snapped. That has to be one of the calls.
Dallas jumped while that motion was going on. Whether or not he was headed upfield by that time, Russell Maryland hopped into the backfield.
We could have multiple penalties here because, as you said, there's flags all over the place. We'll get this straightened out there. We're going to get to the bottom of this. That. Legal man downfield. That. Both of them were against Detroit. Excuse me, both of them were against Dallas.
Another use for the helmet. Used as a bongo drum.
Remember Isaac Holt last week? He got in the fight down there in the end zone with Calvin Williams.
There was a multiple foul on the play. Offside on the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty, and that penalty was accepted. There was also an illegal forward pass by the recovering team after the fumble. That penalty is declined. First down.
Of course, that second penalty couldn't happen if the first penalty, but I thought that Detroit had an illegal guy in motion too, so that could have been, like you said, when Russell Maryland jumped offside.
Eric Kramer continues to be the Detroit quarterback. Barry Sanders deep. Kramer fakes to Sanders. Chased by Tolbert. Gets rid of it to Sanders. And he's knocked out of bounds. Ken Norton.
See, that's how you take Barry Sanders out of the game. You get ahead 34-3. Then you get them to play one-dimensional. They have to pass because you take the run away. Then if you take the run away, then there's no threat of play pass. So the only thing you have left is to throw the ball. Then the defense knows that, so they just tee off and cover. Every game, you try and get it down to one dimension, and you play that one dimension hard.
Steve Berline. He'll probably replace Aikman the next time Dallas gets the ball. 2nd and 7. Sanders behind Brown. Fumble and out of bounds. Tolbert chased him down.
Tony Tolbert made a nice play on that because he was again blocked on the line of scrimmage, reacted, got off the block, and came down and made that tackle. And as you say, I think when the guy goes from the football hat to the baseball hat, he's probably going out. But watch 92, Tony Tolbert. He makes a play there, forces him to the inside, gets by him, and then chases him, comes back, and then knocks the ball out of there. That's about a trifecta for Tony Tolbert.
Full package.
A pretty good day. Tony Tolbert was the guy that put Rodney Peete out of this game.
And Steve Berline.
Steve Berline could be the best backup quarterback in the National Football League. The key thing is at the end of this season, he's going to be a free agent. Talking about a valuable guy.
Well, he got Dallas a long way last year when Aikman went down. The pass picked off by Kenneth Gant. Was he inbounds?
The way he's celebrating, he had to be inbounds.
The 4th turnover. Perryman was the intended receiver, but that's a pretty good step he comes up with.
Well, again, you see Kramer looks that way all the way, so Gant can get the jump. He knows that Kramer's coming that way. He gets the jump, and then he cuts in front. You see, you can either go to the receiver, behind the receiver, or in front of the receiver.
It is an interception. It does stand. He did stay in bounds with both feet.
Did he have control of the ball, though? Yeah.
I think he did.
I think he had the whole thing. Control, 2 feet in, knees, everything.
Quarterback is Berline. Curvin Richards, the running back.
But as you say, here's a guy, Steve Berline, that did a heck of a job for the Cowboys when Troy Aikman was hurt. And I don't know that the Cowboys are going to be able to keep him. I think that, he's one of those guys that could start on many teams in the National Football League and win.
They would like to keep him.
I think it's a tough thing for Berline to know that the only time you're going to play is mopping up like this, or when Aikman gets hurt, you don't want that to happen.
2nd and 3. Alfredo Roberts, the move man. This is Curvin Richards again. Richards. Down down close to the 20. Stopped by Spielman.
I think everyone gets their ball now. I'll tell you, this is getting expensive for the owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, but I'm sure he doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
Look, see, he needs Buck to tell him where to put those
Well, there's
balls.
no place in there.
No, because Emmett Smith got a full load. Of course, Michael Irvin got it. I think he went to the offensive box. Now he has to go find a box for the defense.
It's going to put it in the hamper where they keep the towel.
Yeah, but now no one can get a drink anymore. I'll guarantee you, if he works for Buck, he'll hide it, though.
Irvin Richards still on his feet. Fights his way all the way to the 7-yard line. Dennis Gibson. That's why.
There's nothing. There's the old jersey. There's Emmett Smith's jersey. Remember from last week?
Yeah.
They took that thing. They gave him a new one. There's his old one. They brought it with them and locked him up. So now Gant has his ball that he can take home on Monday.
Maybe. If they can get him to unlock it.
They ought to give Nate Newton a ball. I mean, the way big old Nate, and he has a bad knee, big old Nate.
Yeah.
Man, Nate's been blocking like that. I don't know what that is, though, that circus thing right above his belt.
I think I do. Irvin Richards. Fumble into the end zone. Still loose. Detroit had it. It popped loose again. And they'll bring it back to the 20. Detroit did recover it. Kevin Gogan, number 66.
Ball spot on the 20-yard
Picking up two
line.
guys.
So again, we see the good block in there, good move by Richards, and then he fumbles before he gets to the end zone. The ball goes in, and once the ball is recovered and has control, then it's Detroit's ball.
Michael Irvin and Nate Newton both have TV shows locally in Dallas, but they are vastly different programs.
So what kills me is, you do the Michael Irvin show, he's all cute, legs crossed. Yeah. Hello, this is the Michael Irvin show. This is the quick strike Viper play of the week. You see Coach Johnson all snarl. The guys are really coming on.
To be continued.
You're not going to confuse Nate Newton with Michael Irvin.
No. What a great guy Nate Newton is. Funny. Barry Sanders. There's Michael Irvin.
Yeah, with his knees crossed, too, and I think someone caught him. You never cross your knees. You never sit like that. Then he looked up at the screen. He said, oh, no, I can't sit like that. They're going to laugh at me. So he goes like that, and then you got to spit. Oh, no, you're not going to catch me. That
got us back in character. There's Nate. Talk about a guy that loves to laugh. And maybe he'll have a cracker.
Well, he loves his meals, and he loves to play football. And he has the right attitude. I mean, everything is fun to old Nate.
Flag on the play. 2 flags. This game is presented by authority of the National Football League. The CBS telecast intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Detroit Lions, and the National Football League is prohibited.
I was looking at the Detroit drafts. That was an offensive pick there. You don't see that called very often. It happens a lot. I mean, they get these fancy picks and so on, but they called the Lions for an offensive pick.
Pass interference on the offense, number 80, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's on Brett Perryman. What he did is he comes and he blocks one guy, and then the other receiver runs off him.
It's first down and 20. Moore wide right, Green left. Perryman, the move man. Kramer, pass complete.
picks. In 92, these are the guys that the Lions had. And you can see that they're kind of helping. So I thought, well, you're in the twos. Let's look at 82. And there's not much left from 82. And you go back to 72. Who'd they get in 72? And you go back to 62. And look, John Hadle, you don't remember that? Now if I go back to, look, you got a George Summerall in there. Drafted by the Detroit Lions in 1952.
I know Pat.
Well, there was the same guy.
Yep.
There's Pat Summerall.
Something happened to his hair.
Pat Summerall, drafted in 1952 by the Detroit Lions.
I didn't get any bonus.
Hey, do you remember this?
I don't remember posing like that.
Look at this. They had George Summerall, and then they just go like this. They just scratched out old George, and they put in Pat there. So it's been Pat ever since.
Well, they didn't scratch me out forever. That's a good thing.
It all started right here with the Detroit Lions in 1952.
Never played here.
And then the guy that was drafted with you was Yale Larry.
Hall of Famer. Boy, what a great punter he was. And what a great defensive backfield he played in. Here.
And his old defensive backfield partner, Jim David, you saw he was here at practice yesterday. You were talking to him.
Famer just threw it up to the open grass.
Well, how did you get drafted by Detroit and then not end up playing here?
Well, I was an offensive defensive end and a kicker.
From Arkansas.
Right. And they had 3 other kickers. And the Cardinals didn't have a kicker, so I was traded to the Cardinals. They had Jim Martin kicking here. They had Doak Walker. And Pat Harder, the old official, was here doing some place kicking. So I got to kick from 50 yards out. So I didn't get many chances.
Then you went to the Chicago Cardinals.
Right.
And, of course, to the Giants.
Which was maybe the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. So Dallas takes over after that 41-yard punt. Can't throw in the hat or the towel yet. Emmett Smith. Double trouble. Smith and Irvin.
Someone just stole some from him, but he didn't want taken.
Irvin Richards again with the ball. 8:13 left to play. Dallas 34, Detroit 3. Dallas about to improve to 8-1. Best record in the NFL. And as you said earlier, they were saying to us yesterday, maybe we're not the most talented. Those two certainly are among the most talented. But right now, I think I agree with you. They're certainly the best team. And maybe New Orleans.
Yeah. I think they're the best team. I think they're playing better than anyone right now. The Saints have good defense. The 49ers could be awfully close in the NFC.
Berline. Caught by Alvin Harper. A gain of 13, Kevin Scott. The Cowboys 7-1 starts. This will make it 8-1. But you see what happened to them after those great starts in years past. Back in '68, they lost in the first round of the playoffs. And that continued through '83.
You know, there's an interesting thing. Andre Ware there. They have a rule in the NFL that you can suit up an extra quarterback. He's not active, but the only way he can play is both of your quarterbacks get injured. So he is not among the 45 active. He is the 46th guy that can only play in an emergency.
And if he does play, neither of the other two can come back.
Yeah, that's the end, and there has to be an injury. So I'm sure there's people thinking, why don't they put Andre Ware in? Why don't they give him some time? And one of the reasons is he's not active to play today.
Today's game was produced by Bob Stinner and directed by Sandy Grossman. The coordinating producer of the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The NFL Today was directed by Duke Struck, and the senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Doran. There is another vital member of our cast who's going to have a birthday very shortly, next week in fact, Mike Frank. And he contributes to our program athletically, aesthetically, in a lot of ways.
Academically and happy birthday.
Irvin Richards, right side. Gain of 8. Should be another Dallas first down. Mike Frank, an outstanding golfer.
No, there are guys that are golfers, and there are people that play golf, and and everyone goes in one of those categories, or someone who doesn't care. You can either be a golfer, like a big offensive lineman cannot be a golfer. I mean, Jerry Baltrice said he's a defensive lineman. He can't be a golfer. None of these guys there can be golfers. Too big. Golfer's a little guy. Then there are guys, they can play golf, but the real golfers are golfers, like play in the tour and look like golfers.
You're drawing a line then at Mike Frank?
No, like this guy here is not a golfer. I mean, he may play golf, but he's not a golfer. This guy could be a golfer, but I don't know.
That guy next to him looked like he just lost an election.
Yeah, there's a lot of golfers that don't go to football games because they're out playing golf.
Would you call that enthusiastic applause?
No, these guys don't play golf. You can't play golf with a cowboy hat. That's one rule.
They rode the horse up here from Dallas.
That guy can't play golf. They got to be, like John Daly. I mean, how do you hit the ball farther than John Daly? In fact, Chichi Rodriguez, I read today, here's a guy who watches golf. But Chichi Rodriguez says that John Daly hits the ball farther than he goes on some vacation.
Yeah, right.
Now, how do you get up in the morning and put some of this stuff on that these people wear? I mean, at some point you have to say, well, this is it. I'm going to wear my hat with the goalposts on it.
I don't think I've ever said that. Richards again. Breaks a couple of tackles. 9 yards.
Winning is a great deodorant. He came in, he was contrite. That's a word, contrite. He had his head down, now he got game balls and touchdowns, and they win, and he's saying Miami's #1. Washington got beat yesterday. Miami's #1, he's saying.
Contrite, that's a word you use late in a one-sided game.
Yeah, or when you catch a wide receiver sitting on the bench with his legs crossed.
Richards has carried the ball 12 times and gained 74 yards. AG in front of him. Richards gets another carry. Hit by Michael Cofer at about the 30. What hat are you going to wear today?
Or that. He said, well, I think I'll get a bag and I'll just write some stuff on it and then I'll put it over my head. Or, now, how do you do this? I'm going to paint my face. Or I'm going to paint my face. I mean, how do you decide? At some point, you have to decide that's what you're going to do. But at some point, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, good, that's perfect. That's just how I like it.
But it has to still be dark. A sedate crowd. How's that?
I think it's starting to get to be an empty crowd.
To Alfredo Roberts from Berline. William White made the stop. A Dallas first down at the 17-yard line.
Don't eat that pipe. Don't eat the pipe. There may be some stuff in there that's bad for you. Pipes cause cavities. Don't eat the pipe. Oh, what the heck.
Eat the pipe.
Go eat the pipe. How do you do that? I mean, this can't be serious. And then put the hat on and then the shades.
That guy's still looking for the game. 1st and 10.
How do you decide which part of your face gets painted which color?
That's Richards, runs right into the Detroit defense. Eric Williams. Dennis Gibson was the leading tackler.
Someone knocked old Eric Williams airborne. You're going to wear something like this.
That guy looks like he's talking to, I don't know who.
Well, he believes it. He's not hooked up to anything. He believes he's talking.
That's the scary part, and that's pretty scary too.
I'm not. I mean, this guy here, you see the guy to the right of him? He's thinking, what in the heck is going on here today in Detroit?
He used to have a guy that worked with us whose nickname was Waiting for Parts. I think we got some of his relatives here. Based on the life, of course, of Frank Sinatra. It stars Philip Kasnoff, Olympia Dukakis, and Rod Steiger. That's all tonight on CBS. There's the lady that was guarding the sign, looking for you.
So she was just guarding the sign.
The sign was looking for you.
Look at big old 79 Eric Williams in there, still getting over guys. Yeah, I think that one day you're going to hear that name, Eric Williams. I think after you hear Eric Williams, you're going to hear Pro Bowl and All-Star and all those things.
He was a boxer.
Yeah, he's from Philadelphia, where a lot of boxers are from Philadelphia. In fact, he said he was a big Eagles fan. One time he remembers going to a game in Philadelphia. His coach got him tickets. He's a sophomore, and the Cowboys beat the Eagles, and he said he cried.
He didn't cry last week.
320 pounds, you can't cry.
Irvin Richards, left side, stopped by Jameson.
This is a big break for the Cowboys to be able to get through this one, because as Jimmy Johnson said, one, they were right, but two, to get it early, to be able to rest your players, to not have to, leave everything out on the field again this week like they did the last 2 weeks.
Pretty good day for Irvin Richards.
That was a short little stint. You go in there, you take Emmett's place, and you pick yourself up 82 yards.
Elliott from 30 yards out. Hits his third of the day. And Dallas moves on top 37-3. 37-3. The Cowboys improve or will improve their record to 8-1. Halfway through, we began the day. They have the best record in pro football, and they'll keep that. Lynn Elliott has had plenty of practice kicking off today. Belgray standing back deep at the goal line. The liner that's still going to be handled by Gray at about the 4. Here he comes out of the pack. James Washington. 11 seconds to go. It's been a long year for that man.
They had such a good year last year. You forget that just last season it was the Detroit Lions and the Washington Redskins for the championship to see who was going to go to the Super Bowl, and they were that close. They figured they needed a player here or a player there, and they've really gone in the opposite direction to a point where after today they're going to be 2-7.
And it was right here that they just destroyed Dallas to move into that championship game.
Well, they were the run and shoot then, the silver stretch, and then they changed the tight ends and lost linemen and had tragedies, and it seemed like everything just steamrolled against them. But right now, the Dallas Cowboys are, I think, the best team in the National Football League.
Well, they certainly looked like it today. Coming up, Greg and Terry with the scores and highlights from around the league. A lot of surprises as they continue around the league. The league of parity, they say, but upsets continue. 37-3 here. Once again, final score here at the Pontiac Silverdome. Dallas 37, Detroit 3. Stay tuned for the NFL Today postgame show. Greg and Terry will have all the scores and highlights. You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League. Have joined us, and I guess, guys, this sort of erases those unhappy memories of last year.
Well,